Hello everybody. Welcome to our series of All About Oats. This is the first part in series of 3 telling how we produce oats at Fazer Mills. My colleague Lauri Luostarinen will give a few other later on. My name is Markku Mikola. I'm head of R&D at Fazer Mills Finland. I worked with the oats from early 1990s. That is most of my professional life. As a Finn, I started to eat oats as an infant. It's the first food at many times in Finland for small kids. My first experience in processing of oats is from the elementary school time. We picked up some oats from the field. And at home, my father showed me how to make a fast oat flake. You just take a hammer, you bang the grain, you get rid of the hull, and you get the squeezed oat flake. Fazer Mills is part of Fazer Group. It's about 1.1 billion net sales group working in food area around the Baltic Sea, having operations in many countries. We have separate business areas, including Fazer Bakery, which is a leading bakery, for example, in Finland. We have Fazer Confectionery, having production in Finland, sales a bit larger. And then we have Fazer Lifestyle Foods, where the mills belong. We also produce non-dairy products like oat drinks, spoonable oat products, fermented oat products. And then we have 2 mills. One in Sweden, Lidköping, and another one at Lahti, Finland. At Fazer Mills Finland, we produce locally in Finland. However, we sell all over the world. We produce for example, baking industry, but it also includes other areas such as feed, other food areas, and cosmetics. Our portfolio in general is based on the grains, making wheat, rye, and oat products. Flours, bread mixes, bread improvers, different oat special ingredients, which I come back to later, oats for businesses, and then oats for consumers. We are currently doubling our oat milling capacity both in Finland and in Sweden. After this, we'll be one of the biggest oat millers in Europe. Oats as a grain, as a food, is a nutritious and popular food item. The demand is growing all the time, all over Europe and around the world. It's good for you, it's healthy, it's good stuff. We produce with up-to-date oat milling equipment, and we make solutions for food industry. The customer base, as mentioned, is quite versatile. We don't sell only to bakeries or non-dairy industry. We also sell to cosmetics, feed industry, food supplements, and so on. We started the oat operations actually in 2013, producing both later on also the special ingredients from the oats. We then in 2017, we doubled the capacity. And again, as I told earlier, we are doubling the capacity again and will be a reasonably big player. Quality of the production of the raw material and our final products is of the utmost importance. We push that. We do export to around 40 countries at the moment, all over the world. Now, coming from Finland, in the winter, temps go below -20 centigrades. There's snow all over. All the lakes are frozen. It gives time for the field to rest. And when the spring comes, the oats is sown, and we start to wait for a good cap. The grain itself, most of which we do eat, is as any grain. However, it does have a very hard hull around it. As you see in the picture in the left, there's the hull, which we don't process ourselves. We take it off. Then we have a bran layer and the endosperm. In an oat flake, everything is taken, also whole grain flours. When we separate, I'll come back to that later. The grain itself is around 10% dietary fiber, good for your health, half of which would be beta-glucan, a soluble dietary fiber. And oats beta-glucan have a good possibility to make health claims allowed to use in European Union, given that you have certain amounts of beta-glucan in the final product. Protein, grain has protein, oats has a globulin, which is different from other grains such as rye and wheat. It's good with the amino acid balance, nutritious stuff. The grain, when squeezed to a product, would have a kind of creamy structure. Taste is neutral. It's easy to include in different products. Even if you don't want to have the oat porridge taste, you can have the standard oat taste, and it's neutral. You can use it in several other different products. Oats is low naturally in FODMAPs. The fructan contents are reasonably low. Now, how do we process oats at Fazer Mills Finland? The processing includes multitude of cleaning steps, guaranteeing the purity of our oats when it goes into our production. We do use every part of oats. It's important to have use of all the parts. In the big picture, what we do is we get the grains from the field, from the companies. We clean them, come back to that later. We take the hull off. That can be used in many places and also us at the moment. The hull can be used for energy production. However, in the long run, we'll do a xylitol out of it. Standard flakes can be done from the groats. Squeeze the grain, get the porridge. Squeeze the grain, make a muesli. Squeeze the grain or ground the grain, mill it, bake from it. Get different breads compared to standard ones. We have another route to go. Not in every final product you want to use whole grain, you don't want to use oat flakes, but you want to do something different. For that, we have another set. We can extract part of the oil. Oil is important for the nutritious and the taste of the oats. However, it may be a problem also. we can extract part of it away. The oil we sell to cosmetic industry, personal care. The rest of the grain after the extraction, we then break in pieces. We separate different fractions. We do raise the content of protein or, for example, content of beta-glucan. So to make a health claim with oat products, you need to have certain amount of beta-glucan in the final consumer product. And by concentrating the amount of beta-glucan in our ingredient, it makes it easier for you to make, for example, a bar, having enough of beta-glucan for the health claim, but at the same time have a possibility to include other ingredients, not just oats. Oat protein in the area of 20%, very susceptible for hydrolysis. It's easy to process, for example, to drink. Starch is easily degraded and the protein level is reasonably high. Now going a bit deeper to the process, as told, first the grain is cleaned. It really comes from the field when it comes to us. And what you want to do first is to get rid of, for example, stones, other stuff, straws, which come from the field. So we clean it first. Then we go to the mill. We separate, for example, if there's barley grains, wheat, weed seeds, rye. We use different unit operations to make the cleaning. They are based mostly on physical facts. The grain might be different in shape. For example, barley is totally different from oats. It can be separated with a certain machine. Stone, if any, is much more heavy compared to oat grain. So it can be based on, for example, shaking, separated. And finally, when we've gone further, we have a color sorter, where if the oats itself, for example, there are dark grains, which are darker than the standard light color, we just separate them and continue. We then go to dehulling, removing the outer part. What we do is we bang the grain with the fast speed against the rubber wall. The hull breaks and it can be blown away as it's much lighter than the growth itself. Now with the hulls, we clean them. They go to our xylitol factory. Fazer at the moment is building and starting xylitol production, where we take the silos and that is converted to xylitol, a low-calorie sweetener with very good abilities to help with the dental health. Then we have the grain separated from the hull. Now there's a lot of fat in the oat grain. There are also enzymes in the oat grain. When we dehull the grain, it breaks a little. It gives a possibility for the enzymes and the fats to get closer to each other. Now oat fat is full of fats. Those can be oxidized by the enzymes. Those can be hydrolyzed by the enzymes. This will lead to very bitter or soapy tastes, which I can guarantee are not pleasant. So what you want to do is you want to inactivate the enzymes so they cannot affect the fats. We do that by heating it. Direct steaming, heat, a few hours of processing, and all the enzyme activity is gone. And we check that by analyzing afterwards. Then what we do is we have the stabilized growth. It can be stored or it can be used directly. What we do is we use different unit operations to change the physical appearance of the grain. For example, rolling between two rolls, you get the flake. However, oat flakes or rolled oat, it's not just one. If you want to make a muesli, you want to have a flake which is big enough to give you mouthfeel in the final product when the consumer eats the muesli. So we want to make, for example, a pressed oat, which will give you kind of a thick whole grain flake, which is pleasant to eat. You get the structure in your mouth. Or if you want to make an instant flake, then you take the groat, you cut it in a few pieces, and after that you roll it. You get very small and thin flakes, which work like you just pour water, boiling water over it, mix, wait for a few minutes, and you'll have a porridge. So it's not just one flake. There are multitude of different flakes depending on what's the need for the final consumer and the processor who's bringing those to the customers. We can then also do a bran. In oats, oats is traditionally eaten as the whole grain. However, with cholesterol lowering properties and need for different final products, oat bran can be produced where we partly separate the outer part of the grain and the inner part, making endosperm flour. There are uses for both, and we separate them depending on the needs of our customers. And of course, the groats themselves can be used as a food, in processing of foods. Or the steel cut oats, which is essentially a cut, stabilized grain. As I told, we have another route to go to produce special products where we partly separate the oil. We get Fazer Aurora oat oil, which, as said, we mostly sell to cosmetic industry. With the breaking the rest of the grain, we can separate different parts. And as said, they go to different industries. For example, beta-glucan 20 having high amount of beta-glucan, which you can use for the health claim, for example, supplement industry. 10% beta-glucan works very well in, for example, baking when you want to have high fiber breads. Oat endosperm flours, oat protein, very well working in making drinks. Oat endosperm flour also great for baking when you want to have very neutral taste. We do all this in our oatmeal, which is up to date, and we do have very strict quality policies, and those lead us to make the production with high quality by the raw material of high quality, and thereby we get a high quality final product. We don't think that we can do it just by doing high quality and telling we do high quality. No, we are annually audited by different instances, including American Institute of Baking, which is the golden rule of milling industry. We do have AIB certification, and we try to get better every year. FSSC 22000, and so on. We can do organic products. We buy organic raw material, we've been audited for organic production, and we can provide those. When needed, we can do halal products. And also, when needed, our customers want, we can do kosher. We keep on actively with what happens in the industry. We analyze our products to keep the quality. In an oat shell, we make this for you and your customer to enjoy safe, tasty, good quality oats, which are best for your product and for your process. There's not just one product which would fit every process. It depends on what you have in your plant and will fit our product. Any questions? You can also always contact me directly, being markku.mikola@fazer.com. Thank you for your interest, and please welcome to join us again later on with my colleague Lauri Luostarinen giving presentations on different aspects of oats. Thank you.